and welcome back to my channel. So initially this was going to be a flip through of just the month of May because we're going into June. So I was going to do a flip through of my daily pages for May. But I realized I've never done a flip through of my Hobonichi before. So I thought that I would, of this Hobonichi. I've done one of my Hobonichi ABAC from last year. But I thought I would show you guys my whole little setup and everything and actually kind of get rid of another video by doing this video. So I just redid my setup. I got rid of a different cover that I had for my Hobonichi, that white Scribbles That Matter cover. I do still have it. It's literally sitting right over there on my desk. But I just decided that it was time to change things up a little bit. So I got this cover from Erin Condren. If you follow me on Instagram, I've already talked about this. I know everything that happened with Erin Condren. I know about all of the stuff that they're doing for DE&I, and I would definitely recommend going to their website and the blog of the brand Erin Condren. I do not support the person Erin Condren, I never will, but I do support what the brand is doing, and it looks like they're making very transparent steps forward from what happened with Erin Condren, the person. I'm straining just to make sure that you guys can see okay. And then we'll jump back into this. So I ended up getting the Erin Condren folio that's meant for one of their 4 planner sets, whatever. My Hobonichi fits in here pretty snugly, but I like it. It's a pretty cover and I like the quality of it so far. I will say I've only had it for a little bit so far, so things could change. I'll definitely be sure to let you know if anything changes with that. And then I got these inserts off of Amazon. If I remember, I'll link them below, but I just looked for A5 Traveler's Notebook inserts. And this is what came up. So these came together. I think the cardboard one is probably going to fall apart in like 5 seconds. And it just has extra stuff in here at the moment. So I'm totally okay with pulling this out and putting it on a bookshelf because it's just extra sticker sheets. But this plastic one is really what I was looking for. So I keep different stickers in here. I used to do a lot of like printing pictures onto index cards. So I used to use these as a guide, and I just still have them just because I still have them, but I don't really do that anymore. These are stickers from Patreon freebies for Mary Berry Studio and Cheyenne Barton. And then these are stickers from Mary Berry Studio as well. So lots of stickers in here. And then if you don't know, I pull a tarot card most days. I'm not pulling one for today just because you'll see the spread for today and it's just too much. But usually if I pull a tarot card, I like to take it with me and carry it with me, so it'll also go right in this front pocket. And then, like I said, just some extra stickers in here, duplicates of stuff that I have, or like this one's kind of holiday themed, all of that kind of stuff. So just extra stickers that I don't necessarily need to have with me. Yes. And then we have my Hobonichi Cousin. So I thought it would be a good idea to come over to voiceover mode for all of this and just speed right through it, because there are obviously a lot of pages to go through. I talked about this when I set up my Hobonichi Cousin, but I had a little bit of trouble with the sterling ink stickers, like the bigger stickers from the beginning of the year. So I'm literally just mentioning some of the stuff from my setup that I did initially, and then we'll head into the monthly and weekly pages. I don't really use my monthly pages to their fullest. Like, I've decorated them and hated the decorations. I've tried to make them useful in terms of using habit trackers or doing a journaling challenge and stuff like that, and it just doesn't really work. And the way that I used my monthly pages in my cousin last year worked partially because I was in classes. I guess I wasn't in classes for like the first half of it, but I was in classes and I was using my color coding system for my monthly pages to mark off, like, I have a test this day, I have class this day, I have something due, I have work this day, all of that kind of stuff. So it doesn't really work when I'm not in classes, so that's something that I'm gonna have to figure out because I'm not going to school forever. This was my current weekly when I was filming this video, and I've kind of like hit a sweet spot with my weeklies and my dailies, which is really nice. I'm getting back into time tracking. It's definitely not perfect, but I'm definitely getting back into it a little bit. And now we're jumping into dailies. So there are some chunks where I didn't use my dailies weeks at a time, all of that kind of stuff, as there always is. And I don't really stress over it that much. I'll usually go back and use those pages for something else. I'll put in a gym tracker. I'll mess around with some different pens and markers and whatnot. I'll make a list for something. I'll brainstorm different routines. I'll take notes for work, whatever. I'll use those pages to an extent. And then what I do is I go back to the beginning, to that index page at the very beginning of the journal, and I'll go in and put what that page was, because if it's something that I want to refer back to, then I can do that. I know what page I don't know, put my cleaning schedule on. That's not a cleaning schedule that I follow anymore that you saw, but I know that that page is that page and everything. So kind of chit-chatting a little bit about my trip to Italy and putting in those pictures. I believe I brought my journal to Italy. I can't even remember at this point. But I didn't end up writing in it because we had to do journaling logs there for the class anyway. So I wasn't double journaling or anything, but I did put in some pictures, and I do want to kind of write a little bit more about my experience, even though it's been 2 months at this point. But I do want to go back and write a little bit about that experience. And now we're into May, and May is where I figured out how I like to do things. So you'll kind of see my weekly or my daily spread kind of all of a sudden hit a sweet spot. I started using that little time bar that's on the top left of each page. So there's an hourly time bar that I used to completely ignore, and this is right where I started using it. I like to use it to map out my day with meetings and, oh, I'm in the office for these hours, so I'm blocking off those hours of the day, and then putting in line the meetings that are happening then, and then kind of working. It's like a mini watered down version of my weekly spread, if that makes sense. But it just gives me that whole right side of the page to work with, whether I want to doodle, make a packing list, just journal, put in stickers, put in washi tape, all of that kind of stuff. It just makes it a little bit easier to have that one side of the page is for the productive side of all of this, and then the other side of the page is for the more creative part of my journal, with all of the writing that I do. And then these pages just ended up being so full, and I love them. And even though it's June 8th when I'm filming this voiceover, unfortunately the same day that this video is going up, but we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, I've been loving looking back at my pages lately because of how full they are and how much I've put into them. And just seeing oh, I felt sick this day and I ended up laying on the couch, but then the next day I ended up cleaning my whole apartment because I didn't get the things that I wanted to done the day before. Or here's my packing list for the weekend, for Memorial Day weekend, and making sure that I have everything that I need for that weekend and everything. And it's just, I've always loved looking back on my journal and everything, but there's just something about the way that I'm doing it now that makes me really happy. And being able to see oh, I checked off nothing on my list and then ranted about it. Or I was booked back to back this day and didn't really have times for a break or anything like that. That must have been stressful. And then being able to just see the correlation between the things that I'm writing and how my schedule was that day. So I've been really enjoying this, and I've really enjoyed using lots of stickers. I've hopped on the Copy Monster Code Gang. I buy stickers from Maryberry Studios. I printed printables from Cheyenne Barton as well, and I've really been loving that. But that music change means that it's the end of the video. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!